Let's say you study in geography, and when you look at the Earth's surface, you will see that Earth's surface is not flat. You will see there are hills, and you will see mountains and rivers and lakes. Well, if you look at the bone surface, it's not smooth either. And all those markings, they show different irregular structures on the bone surface. You don't need to learn all of them, but you definitely need to have a very good idea about what they are and know some of those names. So I will leave a link to the video under this video on YouTube, and I highly recommend you to watch it before you continue. Okay, so examples of bone markings. That is a head sticking out round surface of the bone. Fossa, it's just a depression in the bone. Then here's another fossa, depression in the bone. Fissure, it's a crack-like opening in the bone. Foramen is just an opening, and so on. So those are bone markings, and again, if you haven't done it yet, please watch the video. Bone cells. There are four main types of bone cells. All of them originate from osteogenic cell. That is a stem cell, and it gives rise to other three types. Osteoblasts. Osteoblasts would be young cells. Those young cells form the bone tissue. What does it mean, form bone tissue? Well, they produce matrix and they make fibers. When they make a lot of fibers and matrix, that fibers and matrix surround them, and they become mature bone cells or osteocytes. They develop those extensions and become osteocytes. Their main function is to maintain bone tissue surrounding them. Finally, the fourth type of cells is called osteoclasts. Osteoclasts are cells that break bone or resorb bone. What exactly that is for, to break our own bones, we'll talk about it a bit later. Now, we talked already that there are two types of bone by structure. Compact bones, a strong and dense outer layer. Here it is, all outer layer of compact bone. And inside there will be spongy bone or cancellous bone. That's a net of trabecules, and between those trabecules there will be red bone marrow. Red bone marrow is a place where our blood cells are produced. Okay, now we need to learn the structure of the compact bone, the dense compact bone. If we cut through the compact bone, you will see that inside there are a lot of cylinders. They are not just circles, they continue down, they look like a bundle of pencils. So cylinders, and each of them is called osteon. Osteons are structural units of a compact bone. Inside of each osteon, if we cut it like that, here's another picture, it's not from your book. So inside you will see several layers. That's one layer, is called lamella. That's another layer of lamella. That's one more, and one more right here and here. So lamella is matrix of the bone tissue. What lamella is made of, we'll talk about it. And in the center there will be Haversian canal or central canal. Inside of it there will be blood vessels. Red one is an artery, blue one is a vein, and yellow one, it will be a nerve. And central canal, those blood vessels of one osteon, often are connected to the central canal of another osteon, and those connections are called perforating or Volkmann's canals. So central canals are connected to each other. Next one, between those layers of lamella there will be tiny spaces where the bone cells are sitting. So the space itself is called lacuna. Here's another lacuna. Here's another lacuna. And inside of them, there will be osteocytes, or mature bone cells. Next one, canaliculi are tiny canals, tiny connections between two osteocytes. Here they are, or right here, for example, or right here. Those tiny lines, canaliculi. Spongy bone has a slightly different structure. If you look at the spongy bone, there will be also several layers of lamella. There also will be osteocytes trapped in lacuna. There also will be canaliculi connecting them, but in the center there will be no central canal. And there will be no such structures like osteons. Instead, there are trabecula, irregular arranged lamella, osteocytes, and canaliculi. And how exactly those bone tissues receive blood if there is no central canal with blood vessels? They receive it from outside, from here, because in the spaces between those structures, between those trabecula, there will be capillaries with nutrients, and also red bone marrow, which is a tissue producing blood cells. Okay, so let's look at the bone structure one more. It's a segment of an osteon. So one more time, in the central is a central canal with an artery, vein, and nerve. Central canal of one osteon will be connected right somewhere right here with a central canal of another osteon through the Volkmann or perforating canal. Those are layers of bone matrix called lamella. One layer, another layer, one more, usually 4 or 5 of them. Between those layers there are spaces called lacuna where bone cells or osteocytes are sitting. And osteocytes are connected to each other through the tiny canaliculi. Okay, and each bone is made of organic and inorganic substances. So what is organic inside of the bone? Osteogenic cells, osteoblasts, osteocytes, so all the cells are organic. And matrix right here, matrix, also has some organic substances that will be collagen fibers mostly, and also some molecules right here, proteoglycans and glycoproteins. So that matrix right here, inside of it there will be some organic molecules based on proteins and collagen fibers right here. But in the matrix there also will be inorganic components like hydroxyapatites, mineral salts that mostly made of calcium phosphate, and calcium makes 65% of the bone mass. So again, what is the chemical composition of bone? Inorganic will be right here in the matrix, and it's calcium phosphate. Organic will also be right here. Those will be fibers and ground substance, different proteoglycans and glycoproteins. And also organic will be different types of cells: osteocytes, osteoblasts, osteoclasts. One more thing to know about bones. Why do we need both organic and inorganic? Well, a simple experiment shows you what both of them are for. If we try to remove all the calcium from the bone, for that we need to soak the bone in a vinegar. Usually for experiments they take chicken bones, small chicken bones, soak them for a couple of days in vinegar in the acid, and acid removes calcium. Bones become very soft and flexible. Doesn't work for supporting the body. What happens if we remove all organic substances like fibers? For that we just put chicken bones in the oven and bake it there for a few hours, and without fibers bones are still strong but they become brittle. It's easy to break them without those fibers. So only together fibers and calcium in the matrix give you strong bones. blood and nerve supply. So, through the special nutrient foramina right here, right here, right here, blood vessels are going inside of the bone, arteries and veins. Nerves also enter the bone through the same openings.